Oh, hey guys, Mark Holmes here, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Blue Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally doesn't work. You know, sometimes the best laid plans just don't work out the way you expect. I was trying to use this old TV, which weighed a ton. It literally bent the mount that was rated for 100 pounds on there, and the power source on it finally died, and so my efforts to try and recycle and reuse something just didn't work. But that's true about a lot of things in life. You can plan out and have everything you think together, and it just doesn't work the way you think. Now, you guys know my biggest worry has been defensive line, defensive tackle. I, for one, believe that a defense starts in the trenches in the same way that the offense starts out in the trenches. And I believe when you look at what the offensive line has been able to do for the Dallas Cowboys with Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick, and Zach Martin, that made the difference of this team going from getting Tony Romo killed to all of a sudden being a juggernaut in points. I know doesn't seem like it, but over the last 4 years, you look at the offense and what it's been able to do. We went 12-4, 4-12. 13-3, and 9-7. Over 4 years, that's a lot of wins. We just got to get it going in the playoffs. That's been our biggest problem. So we need to do the same thing on the defense. We've got great defensive ends. I wanted to get Vita Vea because I believe if you're stout in the middle, if you control the middle of the field, you control the field. So the question is, when you look at most of our defensive line, most of them are really defensive end bodies. They're 6'4", 6'6", 6'5", about 290, maybe 300 pounds. You don't have a lot of guys other than Brian Price that are really typical defensive tackle or one technique, which is more like a fire hydrant, a guy who's a little shorter, 5'11", 6 foot, 6'1", and like 340, 350 pounds. And I'm concerned about not having that guy. But they believe in speed. And if you look at what David Irving was able to do at defensive tackle, speed does work well. The problem is when you're dealing with the run. When you have a guy that's 290 and you got a double team coming up, they're getting blown out of the hole. So the question is, who is going to step up in that defensive tackle? I've already talked about Brian Price before. I'll elaborate on him on another video. But a reclamation project, a guy who you're not thinking much about, are usually the guy that Rod Marinelli gets the most out of. Rod Marinelli is kind of like a Zen master. He takes guys that nobody thinks about and turns them into very productive players. Look at a George Selvey, okay? And I know a lot of you guys are, but here's the thing. When the Cowboys signed George Selvey for a ham sandwich, you didn't think that he was going to turn around and get 7 sacks in a season. But that was the magic of Rod Marinelli, who was able to take him and turn him around and make him into a really productive guy. He took a guy like Jason Hatcher, who was averaging about 3.5 sacks a season, and turned him into an 11-sack guy. So when you start thinking about it, it's like, okay, yeah, he can do some stuff with guys that you're not expecting. He took David Irving, who was a practice squad guy, and I believe he had 7 sacks in 8 games there last year. So when you look at what he's able to do, I think Deonte Jones is one of those guys that fits that mold. He was a first-round draft pick, I believe drafted 19th by the Green Bay Packers. And I know Group 5 is going to go ahead and micromanage every word I say and make sure that it's dead on perfect. Okay? I believe it was 19th by the Green Bay Packers in 2013. And he's had about 89 tackles and 10 sacks. Played pretty well for Green Bay, was released, had a cup of coffee in Detroit. I think he had a cup of coffee with the Vikings for a minute, and ended up being with the 49ers last year until being released. The Cowboys picked him up late in the season. Well, late in the season, there really aren't any practices. You only have, during the season, 11 padded practices, and the last one has to happen by week 11. So basically it's just maintaining what you got. So having the opportunity to really make an impact, learn the system, practice with the guys, doesn't really happen. But I could see the Zen master, Rod Marinelli, the mad scientist, working with the Deonte Jones and getting the most out of him and being able to make that guy a good guy into our system in that rotation and surprise some people. We hopefully will have Malik Collins. He's rehabbing, and we're hoping that that foot stays okay, but it's broke 3 times. So you're keeping your fingers crossed. And another possibility, maybe the Cowboys may end up signing somebody else, in this late season of free agency, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think Deonte Jones may be the guy who steps out of the shadows and becomes really good again. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But I hope you guys tune in tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern. We'll be live streaming, of course, tonight. And then tomorrow night, we're going to have a special live stream. We're going to have my guys and stuff over here. We're going to break in the new man cave. So that's why I'm out here now working on some stuff. So got the other TV in here, and at least now we can kind of move it around a little bit better. Without the speakers on here, it fits into the cabinet better, so we can kind of make it point to wherever we want it to go. So as always, friends, thank you all for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joby Sports Report. That's you guys. Doesn't work. See you soon.